Hi everyone, my name is Nawar Abdul Wahid. I'm the CEO of EurAsia Gulf. At the beginning, I would like to welcome everyone for the first podcast for EurAsia Gulf. And a couple of words about EurAsia Gulf. EurAsia Gulf is the biggest business platform in the GCC, which connects East European and Central Asian business leaders with the partners from GCC and UAE in particular. We are working in this market for last 5 years. And in our community, we have more than 19,000 Russian-speaking businessmen and more than 80,000 businessmen from all other countries. This kind of podcast is going to be very regular, and we are very proud to have very, very special guest in our first podcast, His Excellency Mr. Kirill Rudy. I will give now the more introduction about our special guest for my colleague Alena.
Thank you, Navar. Thank you for such a great introduction. And as you clearly stated, that today is a very special day for EurAsia Gulf as we are starting our first podcast. And we are honored to have on board with us for the first series Dr. Kirill Rudy, who is a distinguished economist and diplomat from Belarus, known for his significant contributions to economic policy and international relations. And what we know about you, that you are the youngest PhD economist from Belarus, just got it at the age of 23. And since then, I believe that your journey with economics started with the economical diplomacy internationally. You're known for your great work as the ambassador of Belarus to China, whether you contributed a lot to grow the relationship between China and Belarus. And then nowadays you are just the independent advisor for the international businesses, where you help the companies with variety of businesses, especially international IT and other companies, to connect with Europe, MENA, Asia, and now you're in Dubai. So we want to talk about today more about economics and especially about new technologies. We are very proud to have you on board as an advisor to EurAsia Gulf as well, because we believe that with all the innovations and technologies that we are facing now, we need someone to guide us through this journey. So it's such a pleasure to have you.
Thank you very much for invitation. It's a great honor to be the first guest of your new startup, in your series. I hope it works well, and we can start.
Absolutely, it's going to be a magnificent discussion. And Navar.
Dr. Rudny, in your previous interviews, you have highlighted your background in economics and diplomacy. How have these experiences shaped your view on the role of AI in economy development, particularly regarding collaboration between nations?
Thank you for that's really true issue about myself, because I'm living on the edge between economics, public service, and private sector, and that keep my mind open, but also keep me out of the comfort zone all the time. AI is on the agenda now. AI pushes economic development all over the world, but have a lot of reserves on different levels. From the company point of view, we see engineers. All engineers are technological optimists. They all promote AI, saying that AI is something that we cannot live without. But managers and decision makers, they rely on process. They treat AI not like a disruptive technology. They treat it like a sustaining technology to keep old processes. So I think that from the company's point of view, managers, they undervalue AI. From the market point of view, we see that AI is driven by supply, but less by demand. We see who get the most benefit. It's the chip producers, equipment producers, but less users.
Yes.
So users, they also still undervalue AI. And from the government level, we see that all the governments face the dilemma. Is it security or development? If the country has money, they say, oh, we can afford security. We can have our own infrastructure, our own data, and we can secure our data. If the government don't have enough money, they can say, oh, in that case, I need to have international cooperation with other countries and to attract technology, to attract money. So they face this dilemma. It reminds me of the globalization in the 90s. You know, when the poor countries say, we want to have a development, but as long as they get a little bit richer, they say, now we have other priorities. Now let's think about security, let's think about some other issues, but less about economic development. So economics go. So these are three reserves that we could reveal. And my understanding that we can do this focusing not on technology, but focusing more on business, trying to learn how to earn money from AI. So I believe we should focus, right now we're all focusing on AI universities, AI technology universities. But from my understanding, we should more focus on not AI models, but AI business models, how to earn money from this.
I like this actually, and you mentioned about the integration and usage by the normal people. Let's say I think that one of the obstacles, and I would love to go through some of the other obstacles later on during our conversation, that the users don't know what they have to do. The businessmen don't know as well how to implement this technology because they think that they need to know the background, how the technology runs, rather than just open the interface and easily use it. So, and we will talk about other obstacles as well from the government's points of view of the implementation and security, as you mentioned rightly, but talking about different countries, because I believe the implementation as well and integration of AI into economic prosperity is different from the region perspective. So what do you see from your insights and working with the different regions, you see these differences in integrating AI?
You know, recently I looked through 20 AI national strategies in Eurasia, in Central Asia, in Eastern European countries, and I was wondering what they're focusing on. Some of them mentioned that, yes, we want new industries. We want new startups in AI, we will invest there. But when you talk with the ministers privately, when you talk with them face to face, when you even see how they comment their AI strategies in the media, you notice, very surprisingly, that's an insight, that they're focusing on traditional structure. Mm-hmm. They think that AI will make it stronger those industries that their countries already have competitive advantage. It could be machinery, it could be agriculture, it could be logistics, depends on what country already have. They treat it as the tool to make the economic structure stronger, but not to transform economic structure. That's my understanding, current view of the governments, the real view of the governments from this region.
And is it a stopper for the developments? Do you find it?
I think it's a pragmatic view.
Okay.
Because they face the challenges that they have in the economy and agriculture. They think, well, we invest in some new tool, let's use it. Otherwise, we invest in something we don't know. So,
and this can be tricky, yes.
It's public money.
Yeah. Any comments, Navar?
I mean, it's quite interesting, which is taking us to the next question. In UAE, we feel ourselves, we are very lucky. We are very lucky because we are living under the leadership of historical leaders who made this country in 40 years just from nobody hearing about it to today, one of the leading countries in the world. And we saw in coming back to AI now, how with this kind of new kind of regulation, new kind of rules implemented in UAE, which is, I mean, would like to know your idea. Well, what do you think about it? What the specific lessons that you think other countries can learn from the what the leadership did here, what the government did here, what the regulation has done in UAE?
We definitely should admit that UAE is the kind of miracle, economic miracle, technological miracle, something that, and it's not, let's look at the facts. If you look at the Oxford Insights ranking on the AI government readiness Last year, UAE was number 18 in the world, and it's growing. And definitely we can see, from my perspective, at least 3 lessons that other countries could learn from UAE. The first one is a government long-term vision. UAE made AI national strategy and mentioned there we have the goals till 2030 first, and then even mentioned till 2071. Other countries in Eurasia, some of them have their strategies for 3 years. Most of them have till 2030, but their goals are not connected with the national development goals. So that's the first lesson. The second one is about implementation. We can see that UAE government has a strategy, has the Ministry of AI, has the University of UI, have the data protection laws, have the ethical guidance in UI, so the whole big legal framework. But more important, UAE government has the funding and incentives to invest money in AI. If the strategy doesn't have budgeting, it's a declaration. And unfortunately, in some countries in Eurasia, we can see that they have a good goals, but no financing. So private sector can take a look at this and say, well, is it serious? Will the government risk with me, or it's only my risk? And the third lesson, or it's kind of unique situation, UAE comparison with other countries. Why unique? Because the population of UAE is the main driver of demand for AI. Why? Because they both rich and young. Other countries that have ambitions for AI and also rich, like United States, China, they have older population than in UAE. The countries that have younger population than UAE, they are not so rich. So at least by 2050, UAE has this open window for technological outrun internal forces. Other countries, what they can do, they can only compete for this young and rich that generation that will drive, and they are friendly to AI comparison with other generations.
Well, healthy competition is always good, but talking about the implementation of AI, let's talk about the friendship, not the competition. So based on the UE experience of implementing the emerging technologies in such a rapid way and successfully, how jointly the joint forces of Western and Eastern countries can work together to integrate AI faster, using the experience of the UE as well?
You see that you mentioned Europe, Asia, UAE. From my perspective, we all have the same goals. And our goals, in general, very simple. We want to survive on this planet and to live a long and healthy life.
Yes.
That's why the priorities for AI as well should be security, should be healthcare, and environment protection. For security, we see how UAE is doing here, and we see that AI can help to prevent criminal behavior. AI can help to prevent some conflicts, and we hope that even international conflicts, some wars, terrorist attacks, and we rely on AI on this. From the healthcare point, me personally, I don't want to go to the second doctor for the second opinion. If AI can give me the guidance for my healthy life, I would rely on AI because there are millions of doctors' opinion in this AI. And we see that this e-health is developing in UAE. It also could be a good case and experience that UAE could share with other countries. And for the environment protection, this year in Dubai, there was a global climate conference. Mm-hmm. And we just I think we should take the agenda from this conference and put it in AI and ask AI to help us to implement.
The second year in the row, UE theme for the year is the year of sustainability, even considering that the last year was the COP28, but they found out that 1 year is not enough for that, so we continue to develop that.
It's a big goal.
As well.
Big goal. You need funding, And it looks like we didn't achieve sustainability last year.
Not yet. It's a hard
Not
work.
yet, yeah.
Working on that. Yeah.
In the recent years, we have shown some kind of huge development in industry, in technology, in a lot of countries from Eurasia, especially if I'm looking here to, for example, Uzbekistan. Uzbekistan in the last 5 years is transformed from a close country to one country which is everyone in the, not only in Central Asia, everyone in the world now going there to open, especially with some kind of innovation projects like AI, like IT parks, and some another great even initiative from the governments of Kazakhstan, from the government of Tajikistan. How you see these governments and other governments, including Azerbaijan, Russia, Belarus, getting benefited from AI, and how you see in next decade the situation going to be there?
I mean, the role of the government.
A role of the government and the business together. How
The
you
business
can see
together. Well, from my perspective, the role of the government depends on the ability of the government to interfere in the economy. Because like I mentioned, if the strategy without budgeting, it's a declaration. So if the government get used to interfere in the economy, it would be easier for the government also to promote AI. So we can look at the such indicator like a budget expenditures to GDP. If it's high enough, in this case, the government can redistribute funds from one article to another expenses and use these funds to promote AI. If the government has low debt, they can attract money and to use them to finance AI. But if there is a low budget and expenditures to GDP and high debt, the government needs to raise taxes. That's not popular. That's not always could be the case to promote AI. Mm-hmm. So that's very important issue of the ability of the government. If talk about Belarus, in Belarus we made a survey this year with around 530 businesses, and they asked them what is the role of government, how do you see in promoting AI. 26% mentioned that we think that the government should protect us against the threats of AI, but only 26%. Others rely on themselves. They say, well, we can do it by ourselves. We don't think in Belarus that it's something complicated. We can do the technology by ourselves, in-house. Yes, around 67% mentioned we need a law about legislature. But when we asked about, do you need a ministry?
Like in the UAE, Ministry of Artificial Intelligence?
65% said no, that we don't need it. We can do, I don't know, maybe it's a good education. Maybe there are some technical background in Belarus that they rely on themselves. Maybe they think that they are more efficient in this development of AI, but that's the responses. Let's look at the industries. So in Belarus, in these countries, they think that AI could be used first in entertainment, in finance, healthcare, but nobody mentioned industry, even though in Belarus we are famous for our machinery. In other countries, for example, in Uzbekistan, they mention about agriculture, so this traditional industry. So in general, we can see that right now, business rely on themselves. They want competitive market. They don't want 2 or 3 big players. And they're right now quite optimistic, thinking that they can do everything by themselves. I don't know how it goes. Maybe it's one of the center of competence over there, but that's the trend that we see.
I see. No, yeah, that's the difference. And coming back, following that question, is talking about the obstacles, because you see that, yes, the different countries, like within the UAE, we have the ministry that's helping to implement the AI, because As a very new technology, there is a lot of speculations and buzz around AI words. And that's threatening the people in a way how to use, and especially for those who do not have the technical background. So if we talk into simple way to just the audience, to the mass audience who want to implement in their businesses, whether small or large. So what's the obstacles, the most of them that they face, and what's the ways to overcome them?
Well, I can make it very simple.
Please.
There is only one obstacle, only one challenge: economic efficiency. Both the government and the business worry about that, and they ask the questions. First, when I get my return from the investments in AI? Second, how can I track it? Is it really, or you just fool me around saying the big numbers? So when we ask the businessmen, the companies, when do you expect, because right now we talk about expectations,
Yes.
When do you expect to get money? 55% says within 3 years. 30% plus mentioned from 3 to 5 years. So it's around 80% thinking within 5 years period they can get money from AI investments.
Regardless the industry or the field?
Regardless the industry. In finance, in IT, it's faster. In other industries, it's longer. Some say we don't see it at all. When we ask the government, how the government use AI? In something they understand most. It's e-government.
Yes.
And we see what is the period of return in e-government. We take the case of Korea. It's 4 years. So it looks like if you use AI in e-gov, you can shorten this period till maybe 3 years, at least less than 4 years. So in general, we can see both business and government think about from 3 to 5 years, that's the period of return from AI. What about the channels? How to get money? So the first one, the studies show that there is a high positive correlation between companies doing AI and their return on assets, return on equity.
Mm-hmm.
So that means the government can take profit tax from these companies. And if you look at the countries that have the high share of profit tax in their budget, and in our region, it could be Georgia, it will be Slovakia, it would be Lithuania. So these countries that at least see the most obvious result.
Yeah.
When the companies get the profit, they take it from the taxes. The second channel is individuals, because the government spend money on scientists. They give money for some researchers, for data scientists, for ML engineers, and they can track how they spend this money. So if the consumption high, they can get it through value-added tax back to the budget, and that could be the effect for the government, for the country as well. In this case, we should look which countries have the high consumption level comparing to GDP. In this case, it will be Kyrgyzstan and Tajikistan. So if there will be a lot of engineers there whose salary will grow up, that the government will take it from the value-added tax and get the biggest effect. So that's
the second one. I like that.
I mean, keeping in the same line, if you will saw, for example, 80s, end of 80s, 90s, 2000s, we always know that the education in the ex-Soviet Union was being more mathematical education. Because of that, we saw a lot of innovation came from people who studied in East Europe, in Central Asia, and they have moved after that to Silicon Valley. They have created some great projects, which is we see, I mean, now like Google, WhatsApp, and there is, I mean, you can name it more.
They came to UAE as well.
Yes, now for example, we see many examples here in UAE. How you see now the future coming? Because and candidates, for example, mathematical mind experts in Eurasian countries be the future of a new innovation of AI. Because as we heard some experts speaking about what we saw now in the last 3-4 years from AI, it's nothing comparing to what are we going to see in the near future.
You see, when we talk about the future, next 10 years, next 5 years, how it influence, I think we should admit the reality that we are in the era of deglobalization, in the era of, unfortunately, decoupling, long-term decoupling between Europe and Asia. And I don't think that AI can change the direction. I think AI is just a tool. It can facilitate the processes, but cannot transform them, cannot change them, the direction. But UAE can. And surprisingly for me, that more and more European and Asian countries, they trust UAE more than they trust each other on some issues. We see, if you look at the cultural dimensions by one famous scientist, Hofstede, you can see some cultural indexes of UAE is very close to some Eastern European countries, like Poland, Romania, and Croatia. That means that this UAE become the bridge between Europe and Asia, and this role Eastern Europe used to play before. But now we see different like decoupling processes, but UAE now taking this place. In AI development, based on the data from these 20 countries that we analyze from Eurasia, we see that AI development in these countries depends on GDP per capita, depends on eGov, and on investments in R&D. So UAE this year is number 11 in the world in eGov. So they can share the cases, the solutions, and other countries can learn from UAE. Also, we can make a special hubs here, like business hubs, technological hubs, to exchange ideas, to invite some bright minds, and that will give benefits both for UAE and Eurasia in this region.
Before, I think
Yes,
it's quite necessary ideas actually. Yes, thank you.
It's just we'll start brainstorm immediately what we can do, what can be this event. Yes.
I actually, hey, if you'll allow me just to add that we are starting by end of this year, along with the Sharjah, the Research and Technology Park, and EurAsia Gulf, EurAsia Tech Hub, which is going to take place in Sharjah Research and Technology Park, and we'll be announcing some more information about it closely. And I think, Dr. Rudi, you will be able to play a big role there with your big experts.
Absolutely. And just to conclude, that you rightly said that UAE, with their experience, with successful work in various fields, whether it's sustainability, space exploration, renewable energy, and now AI, that they provide that example of how to act fast and efficient. At the same time, the bright minds from the Eastern Europe, that's how they can collaborate together. And once again, not to compete, but work together to maybe to foster the implementation of the AI faster. And once again, just what I see is also the main obstacle is to explain to people who are not very close to the technology that it's very easy to use. And maybe a few words just about the education that you can add, what we should maybe do in education to help not just the younger generation, because these new technologies, who catch it faster? The younger generation, the younger minds. What we can do with those who work in the agriculture industry, who are the older generation. My parents, they would not understand what is AI. So what we do with those people, how we enter them into the AI era?
Well, I would like to catch your first part of the question concerning the UAE advantages and what we can do benefits, what kind of benefits we can bring to UAE. And later on, we can continue with the second one.
Absolutely, yes. That was a lot.
So for the first part, I was very impressed by the meeting with the Assistant Minister of Foreign Affairs of UAE, Mr. Omar Sharaf, who was headed the mission to Mars. So we see the space achievements of UAE. We see the renewable energy, but also we see that some oil-hungry countries are eager to be a long-term buyer of resources from UAE. Some water-abundant countries, like Belarus, have a lot of water. They're ready to sell and complete UAE in this. So there are a lot of opportunities in fields. In AI opportunities, I believe that you mentioned the hub technical with Sharjah.
Yes.
It could be also AI technoparks, because UAE is famous for its digital capacity and data representativeness. Some other countries with some financial support or incentives, they can train their AI models on UAE infrastructure here in UAE. Another issue, how you can use AI and boost economic growth in UAE, the fastest way is through consumption, through tourists. Dubai is very attractive in the world, but other Emirates are less known comparable to Dubai. So we can use AI chatbots, LLM, to bring big groups of tourists from China, from India, from Pakistan, that will boost consumption and economic growth here in UAE as well. So my understanding here could be benefits for UAE as the country in international cooperation and using AI. For the common people, how to do that, I believe that's something that we should make AI simple. And there are already such kind of models where you can use AI at home. You can use your own data, your own small data, something specific about you, and get your personal assistant, your new family member that could help you. That's the goal, to make AI, to make society AI friendly. UAE society, according to the cultural dimensions, like Russian, Belarusian society, they follow the society rules, society norms. So our target right now is to make AI as a new normality for society.
Yes.
If it's normal that you use cell phone,
Exactly,
it becomes
without
normal.
thinking, yes.
Now you're using AI, and it's like it helps you. It's like you used to say, Google, tell me something. Now you can ask AI to tell you something. But it will be not about everything, about specifically about you. So you could involve people in creating these models based on their data that they do have at home, make it simple, make it fun, and make it entertainment and useful as well.
Fabulous. I love that.
Interesting, actually.
Yes.
The conversation here is never ending in this subject.
Yes, the topic of AI can go for hours and hours, but thank you for sharing your insights.
Yeah, I can only, add as a postscriptum.
Absolutely.
Something about UAE. UAE is the first country that attracts attention to AI, together with others, but we look to the systemic view that we see. Right now, we talk about global vision of AI. And some scientists, some scholars, they take AI strategies of different countries and say, this is a global view. No, it's not global view. My point that you also mentioned, that we should not use AI as a competition tool. It should be the tool for cooperation. That's why we need global AI strategy, where we share infrastructure, when we share data. And I believe UAE is the best choice to initiate such kind of agenda, to initiate such kind of draft of document, and to start discussion. So I hope
I think we should start.
I could be heard by someone.
Yes, absolutely. I'm sure that's absolutely. That's why we are doing that, to give that information that's essential, and maybe that tool also to foster and speed up the process of that. Thank you so much, Kirill. It's been a pleasure. Anything, Navar, from you?
No, thanks a lot for you, Dr. Rudny, and really it's interesting to hear your opinions, to hear how you see the future of AI, especially in the regions related to us as a EurAsia Gulf, which is the Gulf region and the Eurasian countries. And we are looking forward to see you in our future podcast. And again, now we are very proud to have you, the first person in our podcast here today.
Absolutely. And I think the biggest insight for me is that the orientation to use the AI in business, not just implementing it as a technology, but business oriented, because as we started with, we are the business platform and we help to foster the business connections among the leaders and the industries. So I think that's the best what we can do.
Thank you very much for
Thank you. Thank you.